Hey gang, welcome to my first ever live gameplay video. Today's episode features 3 very special commanders. First up, we have me playing Zedruu the Greathearted. Next, we have my buddy Matt playing Brago King Eternal. Lastly, Jeff is playing Surrak Dragonclaw. For opening hands, I kept Howling Mine, Celestial Colonnade, Island, Mistfield Plains, Flooded Strand, Propaganda, and Scroll Rack. For Brago's opening hand, he keeps Nevermaker, Plains, Reality Acid, Chancellor of the Spire, Rite of Replication, Island, and Manifold. Surrak kept a Haunted Fengraf, Auxiliary Sphere, Mountain, Bear Umbra, Dragon Master Outcast, Chandra Pyromaster, and Engulfing Slagworm. Brago won the dice roll, so let's see how it goes. For Brago's first turn, he drops an island and immediately plays Manifold. I draw for my turn and play Flooded Strand. On Surrak's upkeep, I crack Flooded Strand, taking 1 to fetch Volcanic Island. Surrak plays Mountain and Dragon Master Outcast. Brago on his turn plays a Plane and immediately casts Brago before passing. I follow up by playing my own blue and white land with Celestial Colonnade and then pass. Surrak drops Haunted Fengraf and plays Auxiliary Sphere, but does not attack and passes his turn. On Brago's upkeep, he takes 1 point of damage for having a tapped Mana Vault. Choosing to not drop a land in his first main phase, he swings at Surrak, dealing 2 flying damage in the air and untapping Mana Vault. Now with access to 5 mana on turn 3, he taps out to play Nevermaker. I tap, draw a card, play an island, and cast Propaganda to hopefully stop Brago from attacking me. Surrak, failing to hit his land drop, cracks Auxiliary Sphere, searches for 2 lands, and plays a forest. Brago untaps and again takes 1 damage from Mana Vault. He plays an island for turn and immediately goes to combat, swinging at Surrak for 2 damage from Nevermaker and 2 damage from Brago, bouncing all of his non-land permanents. Using Nevermaker's trigger, he bounces Propaganda to the top of my library. During his second main phase, he casts a Riftwing Cloudskate to bounce Dragon Master Outcast back to Surrak's hand. On my turn, I play Mistfield Plains. I follow up by casting Scroll Rack to dig through my library and hopefully find an answer to Brago's increasing board state. Finding little to no answers, I pass my turn. Surrak drops an island for his turn, recasts Outcast, and then dumps Yasova on the field. Brago takes 1 on his upkeep from Mana Vault and then immediately goes to attacks. I take 6 damage as I'm unable to stop the onslaught that is Brago this game. With triggers on the stacked, Riftwing bounces Scroll Rack to my hand and Nevermaker puts Yasova on top of Surrak's library. Brago follows up in his second main phase by casting Preordain. He puts both cards on bottom, draws a card, and immediately casts Gilded Lotus before passing turn. I untap, knowing fully well what I'm about to draw, and starting to see how futile this game is becoming. I play a Mountain for turn, then cast Propaganda and Scroll Rack again. Surrak untaps, plays an island, and passes. Brago takes 1 damage from Mana Vault on his upkeep. On his first main phase, immediately taps out, casting Duplicant to devour Dragon Master Outcast. Brago then goes to combat, swinging all 3 of his creatures at Surrak. With his triggers, he bounces Propaganda to my hand and Scroll Rack to the top of my library. For my turn, I play a Hollowed Fountain untapped and recast Scroll Rack. Using Scroll Rack's ability, I find very little in the ways to help us. At the end of my turn, Surrak flashes his general in. During his main phase, Surrak casts Simic Signet. He then taps Haunted Fengraf, Simic Signet, and Mountain to recast Yasova. During combat, Surrak decides to stab me in the back and promptly attacks me for 6. I drop to 25 and Surrak passes his turn. For the first time in many turns, Brago does not take damage from Mana Vault and instead just draws a card. Brago then goes to combat, dealing me 7 damage. Using his triggers, he duplicates Surrak, returns Yasova to Surrak's hand, and bounces Scroll Rack to the top of my library. I untap, realize I still can't do very little, and cast Howling Mind in the hopes that Surrak hits something that'll get us out of this. I then cast Luminarch's Ascension and pass my turn. Not drawing anything he's able to use, Surrak plays Frontier Bivouac and then recasts Yasova. At this point, I regret casting Howling Mind as Brago is able to draw 2 cards. He plays Command Tower during his first main phase and then swings at me for 12, taking me to 6. With his creatures re-entering the battlefield, he exiles Yasova, bounces a forest to Surrak's hand, and puts Howling Mind on top of my library. During his second main phase, Brago announces that he drew a card that he'd love to play, but he thinks it's too mean. After about 5 seconds of convincing for me, he resolves to cast it. Essentially tapping out, he casts a kicked version of Rite of Replication targeting Riftwing Cloudskate, and bounces nearly all of my lands back to my hand. I play an island, recast Howling Mind, and pass turn. Surrak on his turn plays a forest, taps out and casts Surrak, but the game is pretty much over with the amount of stuff that Brago has. On Brago's turn he plays a plains and immediately moves to combat. With no way to stop him, I die, and Surrak quickly concedes. So let's reflect a bit. I think the hand I kept was a bit modest, but the reasons I kept it were justified. Propaganda is an incredibly strong effect against creature-based decks. In addition to it, I had 4 lands, a card draw, and a way to manipulate my library. However, I don't think I could have predicted how aggressive Brago was going to be. I've played against a turn 2 Brago before, and usually I'm able to eke out at least a little bit of advantage before I die or something like that. That was not the case this game. The turn 3 Nevermaker was very backbreaking. Being denied a draw step was very, very detrimental to my plan. In addition to that, I didn't have to drop Flooded Strand on turn 1. Had I kept it in reserve, I could have used it in conjunction with Scroll Rack to shuffle away unnecessary cards from my library. I still don't think it would have changed very much, since the Brago player was very much on point. Anyway gang, I hope you enjoyed our first attempt at a live multiplayer game. There will be more coming, we recorded a few that night, so it's just a matter of time, so look forward to that. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.